Welcome back to the Investing with Purpose podcast, where we explore the intersection of success and significance. We discuss alternative investment options from our experience buying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate, but most importantly, how we're using that business to impact people in a positive way to leave a legacy that matters. Let's get after it. So welcome back to the Investing with Purpose podcast. My name is Steve Libman. I have David and Katie Marie Hughes with me. We're going to talk about some really cool stuff. Real estate, of course. So if you've listened a couple times, you know that we're real estate guys. They are also real estate folks. So thanks, guys, for jumping on.
Thanks so much for having us. We're so excited to be with you today.
Yeah. So couple cool connections. The Lord put us together through some mutual friends, and then you were gracious enough to offer me to come down and share a little bit of our story at this event. We'll talk about the event at the end of the show and invite you guys to come down to Florida. If you're in, a cold state, you might want to escape and come see us in sunny Florida in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a lot of fun, though. I'm excited to. The lineup that you guys keep talking about is getting cooler and cooler, and it'll just be fun to be around a bunch of people looking to change their lives through real estate. So
Amen.
I know that you have done that. We have done that. Now let's go teach some other people to do that.
Amen.
That's right. That's what we're all about.
Cool. So why don't you guys just give the audience a little bit of a background, where you came from, how you got thrust into this world of real estate and coaching and all these cool things that you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for having us, Steve. We're excited to share this message because it's been a life-changing message for us, the message of real estate as a vehicle to take anybody, no matter who you are listening to this, no matter where you're at, where you've been, where you want to go. What we've found to be true in our own life and the lives of many people we've been connected with and helped and all that is that it can truly take you from where you want to be or where you are to where you want to be and beyond even where you knew you could be. And so it's just so exciting. We're very passionate about it. We live here in Sarasota, Florida, #1 beach in the country rated. It was actually rated the number 11 beach in the world, Siesta Key. So that's another reason to come down and see Steve and us here in a few weeks.
Doesn't sound awful.
Hey,
today it's 80
degrees.
January 2nd. It's not
pretty much every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crisp, clear blue skies, sunshine, vitamin D, all that. But it's going to be amazing. I know we'll talk about that later in the show, the live event. But yeah, for us, we've been married for 7.5 glorious years. And love you, baby. This is my best friend. I tell people, here's the thing, side note, right? Bonus training is that talk about real estate, right? Partnering in real estate, right? Partnering. People partner with you, they partner with us. But man, the first partnership, of course, my personal relationship with God, that's the first partnership that everything else flows from in my life. He gets all the glory for all the blessings, success in our businesses and our health, our marriage, our family, all of that. We have a 1.5-year-old Gabriel the Great. We call him. So he's just awesome. But after God and my personal relationship, it's you talk about partnership. Key is who you yoke yourself with in marriage, right? And spouse. So I said, God, I want your handpicked one for me or nothing. That was my prayer years ago. And the cool thing is when you go all in with God, he definitely shows all out in and through your life. And so that's definitely happened in our lives. And she's my beyond my dreams girl. And that's a whole other story in itself. So we live here in Sarasota, Florida. But before we met, one of my dreams growing up was, I grew up in an amazing family full of love and all of that. But in the area of finances, it was really bad. My dad actually ended up taking his life when I was 27. My sister was 11, and my parents filed bankruptcy a couple of times because with my dad's depression, he wouldn't work for years at a time. So I say that to say this, I experienced firsthand really intimately and profoundly just the stress, strain, struggle, living in an environment of lack, around finances. And so I remember making a decision early on in my life is that I don't want to be in that position with my future wife and family with the limitations, the limited options, all those things. And so I just made a decision that I was going to live on the other side of money, where money was going to work for me. I was not going to work for money. Yeah. Now, did I know how? Did I know it was going to be real estate? I had no idea how. But that's the power of a decision, right? I just decided that's how it's going to be. And from that decision, that's what led me to seek out mentors that had that life, had that fruit in their life. And so it happened relatively quickly. I became financially free in my probably late 20s. And so both years before we met, But real estate was the vehicle. We are entrepreneurs. We own multiple businesses, but real estate has always been the core vehicle of our wealth creation and wealth multiplication. And so when we met, it was amazing because I'll let her share some about her journey as well. But one of my dreams was not only I wanted to be financially free, but I wanted to be able to, when I got married someday, be able to say, sweetheart, you never have to work, you never have to trade time for money ever if you don't choose to. Like, I want you to pursue your dreams fully, and I'm going to be here to support you and your dreams, not just financially, but by me being present physically. Not off working to make money to say, hey, go buy whatever and do whatever you want, but to actually be with her in the building of her dreams. And so that's been huge for us. Is that it's about what the money can do, the freedom, the time, the options as a family. And so we could go on and on for hours just on that one question you asked, but that's a quick nutshell just on why we're so passionate, is because it gave us the thing everybody wants, freedom, and abundance, to really have the time, the energy, and the resources to really live out those God-given dreams in our hearts without limitations or feeling like there's restrictions there.
Yeah.
And
that's so good.
Super quick backstory on real estate with me. I was raised, I'm the youngest with two older brothers, and both my parents were elementary school teachers. And so for 3 months out of the year, we got to travel as a family in our motorhome. We went to Hilton Head. We went all over the place, spent a lot of time on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and just really got to enjoy that freedom. And I think that that's really what implanted I'm a free spirit anyways, just how God made me, but getting to have that taste of freedom and being with my family, doing what we wanted to do, that was all I ever desired. And so I just remember being really little. I grew up to become a professional dancer and recording artist and songwriter. And I always have pursued my dreams and the passions that God put on my heart. But I always had to have a side hustle from time to time. I was getting paid to do what I loved, but I wasn't really getting paid enough. And so I waited tables a lot, again, because I would have that freedom and flexibility, but I knew that there was more to life than having to go back and wait tables when I needed money. So there was a huge chasm. I was interested in real estate. My mama has always been interested in real estate, and my parents have had properties from time to time, but there was this chasm of, I'm really super interested in what real estate can do, but I don't know how to get to that place. And so when God brought us together, and David already had a portfolio of properties, and we've continued to grow those, it was like, oh my goodness, I just became a sponge and learned everything that I possibly could from him. And then very quickly, I became super passionate to, build the coaching program with David that we've built from scratch to really be able to help people cross that chasm, because there's a ton of information out there. There's a million talking heads on the subject. And we have hearts for the kingdom. We love Jesus, and he is everything that we do. And so we don't just infuse him into everything that we do. He comes first, and then we're able to utilize the vehicle of real estate to help people become free to be able to pursue what God put on their hearts.
So good. Couple things to recap. One, love marriage, right?
It's the greatest, man. It's the greatest.
When done right, it's so good.
It's the best.
I am a product of two parents that had, unfortunately, 7 divorces between the two of them. I celebrated 15 years of marriage with my beautiful wife this year, and 3 kids. And man, when you do it intentionally and on purpose, it's so good. So congrats on your 7.5 years. I love that. And
hey, you too on double portion, 15.
That's right. So we said 15 and see you on the next 50. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of fun. I mean, I'm sure you guys get asked this. I can feel the energy between you. Just like, I'm sure you get asked all the time. Oh, newlyweds. It's so sweet to see newlyweds, right?
Oh,
15 years in, it doesn't.
Yeah. This lady was walking by in the park. She was sitting in my lap on the bench, and they were like, "Oh, are you on your honeymoon?" 7 years into marriage or whatever it was, and we're like, "Well, yes, actually, we're on a lifelong honeymoon."
That's right.
Like you said, it's the way to do it. But I want to say something. What you just said on that, Steve, that I want people to hear and to know is that, like you said, it doesn't happen it's not a roll of the dice. I think a lot of people get in, hope it works out, but
Hope it works out.
Yeah, let's hope this works out. But it's not going to.
The stats aren't looking good on that.
Yeah, what they say, hope is not a strategy. Okay. So, but anyway, my point to that is the word that hit me when you were talking about marriage is the greatest thing. It is actually, when done right. But like you said, the word to me that came was investment. We all say we want the best marriage, the best health, the best this, that, but are we willing to make whatever required investment into ourselves first, right? Yeah. Into myself first to grow daily, and then into the marriage and into the relationship and everything. So anyway, man, yeah, that's as you know, I'm sure you can talk for hours on that topic, and we could.
Yes,
it's awesome.
Well, especially not having necessarily the blueprint growing up, right? So I think some people are blessed to have the blueprint and can say, okay, I just got to go replicate this, and they have great mentors and into their lives. But not having that meant I had to go figure it out, go get the mentors, go get around the people that are doing it well, right? Like I don't take marriage advice from my divorced friends, just not something that I do. 50 years married, I want to know everything you can share with me, right? So, but anyway, I like to bring it up because I think it's important, because without your marriage being in a good place, who cares about the rest of it, right?
Exactly.
Too many entrepreneurs that have success in their lives and they don't have a relationship with their kids or their spouse. So part of the reason that we got into real estate too was, well, a little bit different, not necessarily just a free spirit and like want to do things when I want to do them, but also probably unemployable. I'm not real good at taking direction from other people. God has grown me over that. But in the beginning, working for somebody else wasn't in the cards because I didn't listen real well. But that really did open the door for me to become an entrepreneur and say, okay, so what else? Similarly to you guys, I said to my wife, like, I don't want you to have to work. If you want to, great. But let's just live off of my salary and figure that out financially. And that was great. And we did that. And as she got pregnant with more kids, she was like, I don't want to work. And I said, cool. Well, we planned out that we didn't have to. So now you don't have to. And then, we didn't know that the vehicle was real estate necessarily either, especially because we have rebuilt and repivoted this business so many times. We've done wholesaling, right? Where you buy a contract and sell the contract to another person who's going to do the investment and flip the house. And then we've done the flip side of things where we would, do the flip and pay 50% in taxes and move on. And then we've done the let's buy a 66 unit apartment complex. And then, and now we've bought and sold over 1,500 units. We just closed on 1,000 units last week in 984 units in Tampa.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Tampa?
Yeah, in Brandon.
Oh, yeah, that's just up the road from us.
Just up the road. So $257 million acquisition. So, man.
Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you guys and all your investors.
It blew up. Well, and what's amazing, right, is just by the hair of our chinny chin chin, we closed before that 100% depreciation ran out. So we got some massive tax benefits just before the close of the year as well. So looks like we'll have another year of not paying taxes. And I'm sure we'll talk about this at your event. Because making money is cool. Not giving any away unless you want to is really cool. So
Really
really cool. And we get to
make
give
sure that's in your notes for your presentation.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and it's like, where do we give, right? So let's get into that a little bit. Like you guys have started, you had this financial freedom. And I think more so than financial freedom, it's time freedom that we're all really seeking, right? Because yes, the finances make a big difference, but what they really give you is the time to spend with your wife, with your kids, maybe going out to the beach at sunrise and not having to worry about when you're coming back home. And I mean, so many different things. I mean, I teach a homeschool co-op on Fridays with my kids, right? We're a homeschool family until this year, and teaching entrepreneurship to, 10 to 18-year-olds at a homeschool co-op on Fridays just because I can, right? Like, it's really cool to not have to trade that time for money. So you could go and do the things that you're passionate about, that you have dreams about, that really get you inspired and pumped up. And, so now that we're doing that, right? Other people are starting to do that. They're seeing maybe the way to do it. And maybe it's not real estate for everybody, but frankly, the most people that I know in my life that have that have done so through real estate. So whether or not that's just an echo chamber that I live in, or if that's actually the truth about how most people make their money, and there's stats out there that say it's probably the latter. It's cool to see how real estate can be that vehicle. You just have to know the how, right? We know the what. Now it's how do I know the how? And that was super helpful to me to get around mentors and other people that had just a couple steps ahead of me. And I just had to replicate the process, which was super nice. Because for the first 5 years when we started the business, I was beating my head against the wall going, I'm an entrepreneur on an island. What do I do? And it was painful, right? So I always say you're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're going to pay for it in time and trial, or you're going to pay for it in a mentorship. And one hurts a lot less. So
and it's a lot faster and easier,
less.
which you mentioned hurting less. Yeah, it's a lot faster and easier. Which one do you want? The slow, harder, more painful, and more costly in time and money. I mean,
it's a much more pleasing investment.
Absolutely. And you just have encouragers around you, which I really love, because, if you have those cheerleaders on your sideline rooting you on, it's super helpful. So, all right, so let's bring this into the investing with purpose piece of it. So, I think I could probably discern where you guys are going with the passion piece and the purpose piece, but give me an idea of how you like to see your gifts, your talents, and your treasure getting sown out into the world, whether that's supporting nonprofits, whether that's coaching other people. Like, where is the purpose focus for you guys now?
Well, it's funny because people will say money doesn't buy happiness. And we've all seen, we live in, I think, the fifth richest city per capita, but I used to live out in Colorado in a very, very affluent city. And my brother actually taught school for a private high school. It was just tens of thousands of dollars a year. And there were very wealthy children that were at that school. And so many of them were just miserable. They were hurting. Their parents were actually doing drugs. I mean, coke and all the things, even though they were making multiple 7-8 figures. And these kids were just dying really for affection, dying for the true love of their parents. And they drove the most expensive cars, and we all know that doesn't make us happy. You can go buy a new car, go live on the water, all of these things, but if you don't have a deep purpose, it's all for naught. But I heard recently, I want to say it was Dean Graziosi said, we've heard money can't buy happiness, but basically you just haven't given enough away if you haven't ever seen that money can buy happiness. And so for David and me, we have just extreme passion for many causes we see around the world. And yeah, you can absolutely go volunteer your time with these different organizations, and that's incredible. And that's actually even more life-changing for those of us who get to volunteer, I think, than the other way around, because we get to see, God at work and get to see how us just toiling with our hands and our hearts and our mouths can really impact someone else. But how incredible to be able to impact even more people than just talking one-on-one with someone or helping someone, feeding one person, when you can feed the nations, when you can clothe the nations, when you can, take part in the causes that mean so much to you. And I just can't even tell you what a beyond dream come true it is to be able to write the checks, to click the button, on the site, whatever it is. Like, we see a need, God tugs at our heart, and we say yes. I think that can really sum up so much of those of us who have been blessed financially. Like, God is looking for funnels. He's looking for people with open hands, open arms, open hearts to be able to receive the financial blessings that he has given us, that he wants to pour into us, and then allow those funds to then be funneled through. And it impacts us to be able to be just a small conduit, a part of what God is doing, and to be able to see the lives that are impacted, and then joining hearts and minds and hands with other people who have that same passion. And we all come together and we can really bring about change in this world. And most of all, we can bring God's heartbeat to life in this world.
Yeah. And the only thing I would add to that, it's totally on point on what we do and how we feel and our approach. So it's both. To us, like in our understanding or our belief of God's design of life, in many contexts, it's not what we oftentimes think of either or. I can either make millions and be successful financially and not have a great marriage, or I can have a great marriage and be mediocre financially. Mm-hmm. But when we get wisdom and we actually learn things that he knows, and that, like you said, mentors around us know, we can do both. We can grow financially in a healthy way, mm-hmm. maximally, and in our marriage and relationships with others and the impact and everything else. And so we don't feel like it's an either or, we can give our time or money. It's a both and, in terms of like, we're here to give our time, talents, abilities, but also let's not limit ourselves to thinking, well, I'm going to give time, other people give money,
right?
When we can do things to position ourselves, position assets to what we tell people is we help people plug into that financial overflow, to where it's like, yeah, it's great that you're giving time. But think about this, instead of just you, one person going and serving however many people you can serve, think about writing a check that all of a sudden deploys 100 people to go volunteer their time.
And you can be one of those 100.
Well, yeah. Or 1,000.
Yeah, you could fund for your own. That's right.
Yeah, you're doing both. You're doing your time, but that's limited. But now when you can position yourself in assets, which is what's so awesome about what you do, Steve, and what we help people do with your fund and everything you're doing, is that's the whole point of our passion, is like, hey, let's be wise stewards of the opportunities and the resources that are available to us to position ourselves, our families, our passions with these income producing assets, like you said, real estate being the best, right? We believe, and to where it's that perpetual flow beyond the time for that finances to release other people's time to go, as well as, of course, meeting the needs. And the other side of that coin is not just our time and financial flow, but equipping others, right? That's why it's awesome that you're doing this podcast. You're not just out here doing the amazing things financially for you and your investors, but you're also educating people. Hey, listen, if you lean into this, learn some things and do some things, you can get equipped and empowered to, and just the ripple effect of that is infinite, right? Because you're not just handing out fish, just like a passive investor. That's valuable. It's like a passive, like, hey, you're getting fish, your money exchange, but empowering people to fish. Now they're not just getting fed for a lifetime. They're able to feed others in their community and around the world for a lifetime because of what they learned from you, which gets us so excited. And really, it's stewardship and personal responsibility, we believe. Mm-hmm. And it's an honor and it's exciting to teach others anything we've learned that's been valuable and blessed our lives, and we've profited from and benefited and been blessed by. We want to share it with as many people as we can possible. I mean, that's the point of these podcasts, right? I mean, for us to be able to together add value to others and things that, like you said, collapse time on itself. It took you 5 years doing that to say, hey, you don't have to spend the 5 years and the pain of time and money. Just here's what I learned. Here are the 3 key takeaways of 5, whether it's, like you said, getting a mentor and other things. So it's just super exciting.
Yeah. No, it's so good. We have, what I love, what you guys said before about, money doesn't buy happiness. We always say money solves money problems, right? You have other problems. You think that by solving the money problem, you're solving all the problems, and you don't really know that you're not until you have some money, right? And then you still have a bunch of problems. So money solves money problems. That's great. And we do need to solve those, right? I also believe that you will get stuck to a point and not be able to outgrow your own problems until you have that personal growth, that, tearing off of the old man and putting on the new, and being able to get to that next level so that God can entrust you with the next level of parable of talents, right? Like, why does he take from one and give most to the guy who earned the most? Because he's proven himself worthy to earn the most, right? So one, we always encourage people like, well, I don't know when I can start giving. It's like, start today, right? Our giving story is that through some prayer, God was like, just start now. Just partner with me now. Do 1% of the economic benefit of your next deal, and that's it, right? And then we went 1%, 2%, 4%, 7%, 18%, right? Like it grows, but you could start today, right? I think we have these barriers, these self-inflicted barriers in our mind that we have to say, oh, well, when I get here, then I can, right? And just like you guys, it's like, no, but it's not and or, it's and both. So how do we give now and start doing some other things? So I love that. because it's very much in line with how we kind of started our giving as well. And, my giving personally started when we first got married, because I was not a Christian very long when I got married. I got saved when I met my wife, and I begrudgingly started tithing because she was like, no, we tithe in this household, right? Like I was not there. And the year that I started begrudgingly tithing, I saw God's economy start to work in my life, where we were paying off more debt than I thought we would be able to with the amount of income that we had coming in, right? And you could talk to Christians all day long and hear these testimonies about what it looks like to live in God's economy. And now, right now we're talking about buying, $200 million buildings. You want to talk about God's economy over the last 5-6 years. It's stepping out in faith and saying, I'm just going to do this one thing now, and I want to help other people and impact those things, and just being really good stewards about it. Yes, I could go and volunteer for a day, right? But if you can write a big check and send many to go volunteer for a day, it's really cool how it compounds. So yeah, we like to watch other people start to grow their own personal financial successes, but how are you going to use that for your why, for your purpose, for your passion? Because there's no shortage of need in the world, right? And we have the ability as entrepreneurs to be the tip of the spear and really get to these different places that we probably wouldn't have been able to get to just on our own if we were just trying to volunteer somewhere. So really cool,
man. It's so good, everything you said. And one of the things that made me think about, we tell our students this often, is, when people are talking about interest rates and gas prices and food prices and inflation, all the hot topic, I'm like, well, the reason you're concerned or focused on those things is because you have not yet learned how to create your own economy. Yeah. Which really, to your point, it's like, yes, we were created in the image of the greatest creator to create, we believe, right? To create opportunities, partnerships, all these things. And so, like you said, he's looking at us like the parable of talents, like, what are you doing with it? The relationships, the time, talents, abilities, are you creating? Are you co-creating with me? And so even in this economy, like we closed on a deal recently and partnered in the creative side, right? Creating a situation where through seller financing, we people are like, oh, interest rates just doubled, went to this and that. It's like, well, why participate in that when you can participate in this economy? Like you said, God's economy, of course, with the favor of God and man, and the creative side, right? Be a diligent steward to learn the skills and help with the talents that you just mentioned. It was because of the skills. They were giving talents according to their skills. So grow your skills. But it doesn't matter what the world's economy is doing when we're over here creating. We got a 2.6% interest, 30 years loan, with seller financing, right? So that can be done in any season of the market. So anyway, that's just a side note to your point of the power of that small mental shift that makes a huge difference in being open to the creativity and God's economy and partnering with him, which is a whole is the deal, right? I mean, it's.
And can I just add one more quick thing to that?
Of course.
So, the thing is, like, as lovers of Jesus, those of us who believe in God, like, changing the perspective of this is my $100 and I'm going to hold on to it and I'm going to spend it on what I want, understanding that the $100, the 100,000, the million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, all of it isn't even ours. We are literally like God's bank, and he's just deposited into us, and we need to listen for what he wants us to do with it. And the thing about, anyone who say is kind of isn't financially in a good place, thinking, well, when I've got $100,000, that's when I'm going to start being generous. The thing is, it's a heart issue. So when we don't even have to give, but we still choose to give, that's the sacrifice, then he or she who is made faithful in the little will be made ruler over the much. And so I really believe that it's a heart issue and understanding where our blessings come from, because then it's all his, and it's just a joy to be able to give, because it was only given to me because it's someone else's, and I just want to be a good steward of that. So, remembering that even when we don't have to give, but we feel led to give, that's where the blessing comes in, and that's where the multiplication really occurs. It doesn't matter, you could be a billionaire and have a very hard time giving, which I think probably most billionaires do not have a hard time giving, and that's potentially why they have $1 billion. And even people who are very financially well off, I would say the majority of them, whether they know the Lord or they don't, are very much givers and have that philanthropic heart.
Yeah, they still live under that blessing, right? Whether they know where it comes from or not.
Right.
And it's interesting because I think you're right insofar that the people that have a hard time giving, they have a hard time making money. And you see it. And you'll see it if you come to this event, right? Because I know the fact that we'll sit around, we'll have dinner, and we'll talk about, what kind of philanthropic things do you like to do? It's not a bravado thing, right? It's not like, oh, look at what I'm giving. It's literally look at what the Lord has done. And it's look at how cool this is when you're open to it, right? You're not holding on to it very tight. My dad, God rest his soul, he held on to money very tightly, right? His father was an entrepreneur, but he, being the recipient of that entrepreneurship and that blessing, didn't know how to go out and make his own cash, right? So he held on super tight to it. And what that meant is that he also didn't have a lot of flow, right? There wasn't a lot of things that flowed through it because he held on very tightly. And it wasn't his fault. He just never learned it and never decided to get outside of his comfort zone and say, hey, how do I learn how to do this myself so I'm not reliant on anybody else? I can be reliant on myself. And that's what drove me into the entrepreneurship, was to say, okay, so I know that money, here's something that's a kind of a radical thought, right? If you're listening to this, get ready. Making money is a skill set that you can learn. I didn't know that. I thought that most people stepped into it and were probably trust fund babies or came from this long lineage of smart people, right? And they don't teach it to me in school. So why would I know how to make money? It's just because it's a skill set that you haven't learned yet, right? So let's lead that into this event that we're going to get to go do together that you guys are putting on. Where is it? What is it? How many people are going through it? I'll tell the audience what I'm going to talk about a little bit, but what's the goal when you have people sign up and spend some money to invest in themselves and to take a risk to come to the David and Katie show and maybe have some good nuggets dropped by somebody, but like what is the event? What's the purpose? Why are we going to Sarasota?
Yeah, man. Thanks for opening that. So yeah, SI Live 2023, Sarasota, Florida, February 19th through the 21st. Who's it for and why would you want to be there? Well, if you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously interested in real estate for whatever reasons. And there are many live events you could go to with people talking about real estate. There aren't maybe any that I know of, maybe one or two that we could think of if we sit in a thought that are, it's all based on kingdom first, right? So the theme of it is kingdom wealth through real estate. What does that mean? And again, whether you're listening to this, if you have a personal relationship with God, that already excites you. If you don't, regardless of what you believe, you're welcome to come. Absolutely. It's not going to be like a preachy, churchy kind of feel. You're going to hear from some of the top minds in the real estate industry and in business. And so if you're hungry to learn and grow to the next level, you'll get massive value for being there, from the new connections, of course, strategies and all that, but the new intimate relationships and connections that you'll gain from the room. Absolutely. But what separates this event from many other amazing speakers that are knowledgeable and successful and multimillionaires, billionaires, is that it's got the core of the kingdom, with what you do, Steve, with the connection to charities and funding missions and all this, and with what we're teaching people, how to multiply money, how to step into financial overflow, but don't stop there. Multiply the money maximally, multiply the flow maximally for kingdom purposes. Because if it's not tied to a kingdom purpose, and whoever you are listening to this now, it's okay. If you don't yet have a personal relationship with God, you can today. Just call on him. He's the best one at answering and communicating himself. But here's what I would say is that without that personal relationship with God, like Steve was talking about, like we were talking about on God's economy, I mean, just take it from a natural principle. Would you rather work smart? I'd rather work smarter than harder. I'd rather work smarter than harder right? Because what that does is you make way more money in way less time and effort. Even while we're sleeping, we're making more money than most people make while we're sleeping. Now, why does that happen? Positioning through wisdom, right, and things. But at this event, we consider it the Kingdom Wealth Through Real Estate event of the year because we don't know of any. Well, and that's not because of that, because we know who's going to be there. You, the other incredible speakers. I mean, we have speakers that are speaking there that literally speak in stadiums full of tens of thousands of people. Yeah. So you're going to have intimate access to these kind of people that most times in most places, most people don't have access to. We're planning for 300 attendees. So you're also going to make new connections with new amazing potential partners to collaborate with and everything from the amazing attendees coming together from all around the country, as well as the incredible speakers you're going to have intimate access to. And on the site, it'll show all the details of the topics that are going to be covered, all the insights and strategies you're going to get from literally leading experts in that topic and in that niche that are speaking there. And so we can't say enough about how excited we are to host the event, and for everyone that's going to be there and for the people who come, what they're going to get from it. And we're so excited for all the breakthrough, going to the next levels, all the testimonies that are going to come from it, what they're going to learn, the new relationships they're going to have, and what that's going to lead to in the overflow in and through their lives. So we sure hope to see you there. And what else? Anything else, baby, I missed about it?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight real quickly. One of our most recent speakers to come on the docket of SI Live 2023 is Pace Morby, who is an incredible creative financing just expert. And he actually has the #1 show on A&E. So he's able to, impact way more than tens and tens of thousands of people with the broad reach of A&E. And then also, you're not just going to be learning about real estate investing and wealth building, but you're also going to be entertained by America's Got Talent winner, Dustin Tavella. He is an incredible just performing artist. He's a magician and spoken word, and he loves Jesus. He has an amazing testimony, and he's all about helping activate you to live the life of your dreams and to make those dreams come true. So I know that this event is absolutely worth you investing the time and the resources in, and you are your greatest investment. And it's the kickoff already of 2023. What better way than, to invest in yourself than to make it a priority to come to SI Live and just have an absolutely transformational time with us.
Yeah. One other thing I forgot to mention is a 2-for-1. Right. We mentioned the #1 beach in the country. So come to an incredible real estate event, have a blast, meet people, learn strategies, accelerate your growth financially. While at the same time, come early, stay late. Yeah. Paradise, #1 beach in the country. Second honeymoon, 10th honeymoon. Come on. And whether you're just starting out, here's the last thing we should say about it, as far as who's listening to this. Whether you're just starting out in real estate investing and want to get involved, or you're already seasoned and you want to go to new levels and multiply what you're doing, whether you're making $1 million a year, 10 million a year. We have a guy who did over 1 billion in 1 year in revenue in his real estate businesses. So he's a friend of ours and business partner. So, I mean, no matter what, he'll be speaking. Yeah. And you'll have intimate access to talk with him. But so no matter what level you're at, you're going to get to connect with people and learn from people to multiply where you're at to where you want to go in that regard. And you already said it, Steve. I mean, that was the thing, wasn't it, for you after 5 years of struggling, connecting to someone who is further along and just saying, hey, wow, never thought about that. And so, and then of course, what you're going to be bringing, man, we're so pumped to hear all the diamonds you're going to be throwing out.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to run a 4-minute mile, get around people running 4-minute miles. Right. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm grateful to be a part of it. We will get this out to all of our listeners, and we'll see you guys in Florida. It's a couple $100. So let me tell you, when I tell you I spent $250,000 on a degree from Boston University that I've never used versus, I'll probably spend nearly $100,000 this year on these types of events and mentorships and partnerships and things like that to go to these things. And the reason that I do that is because the return on time invested, right? I measure everything on ROTI now. Return on time invested is amazing, right? You're going to get into the room with people that frankly you would not get in the room with for a couple $100, right? It's $350 plus the cost of like lodging or whatever. it's a joke, right? For what you'll learn, one thing will change your life. And you guys asked me, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but like, hey, why live events, right? And it's a great question, because why would I not just buy the course, right? Why can't I just watch you guys on Zoom and listen to your podcast? Well, because like David and Katie and I were sitting here talking before we hit the record button, and like we're going to talk after we hit the stop recording button. That's where bombs get dropped, right? And it's just because it's in passing and you're sitting at dinner. And I literally had $1 million idea given to me while I was getting bread in the bread line at one of these events, where somebody was just like, oh, you know what I started doing? And it was X. And I was when I was flipping houses, and it literally saved us almost $1 million in expenses that year. He said it in passing. And I was like, what? I was like, that's brilliant. And he just didn't think anything of it because it wasn't in his presentation. It wasn't spoken from the stage. It was just something he always did. So he didn't think it was special. To me, it was the most special. And that type of stuff happens all the time. I literally can't stress this enough. When you're around people doing big things, like I'll put a presentation together. We're going to talk about some cool stuff. And there's no doubt that you'll learn something. But every so often, you'll just go get an extra cup of coffee in the hallway, and somebody will go, oh, hey, where are you from? What do you do? Oh, this is what I do. And then bang, partnership made, networking happens. Somebody gives you this killer bomb about how to use whole life policies in a way that you could never think about investing. And it's like, wait, you do what? It's like, you just find out what rich people do when you're around rich people. So it's anyway, I could go on, but I'm excited to be a part of it. We're excited to be in Florida with you guys. So thank you for coming on. All your links and contact info will be in the notes. And there's only a couple spots left to this event. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, I suggest you do it. And reach out to me. Let me know you're going to be there so I can look out for you. All right, guys. Any parting shots?
Thanks for having us. You know, you're the jam. Real estate's the jam. You know, that we hope to meet as many of you all that can make it there. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a blast. So thanks for having us here on your show, Steve. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. See ya. Thanks for listening to the Investing with Purpose podcast. If you're finding value, would you leave us a review and share this with your friends? And go to investingwithpurpose.org to learn more about how to partner with us and to learn more about the nonprofits that we support around the world.